Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, turn the board, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori. Jaya Jagannatha, Jagannatha, Baladeva Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवजगाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद जी की, ब्रह्मवद्व गौड़ीय संप्रदाय आचार्य गुरुवर की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयउदीरयेत्। शृण्वन्ता स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनं हृदयन्तस्तभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतां। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। निगमकल्पतरो गलितं फलं सुखमुखाद्रवमृतं संयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिक भुवि भावुका। आराध्यो भगवान व्रजेश तनयस् तद्धाम वृंदावनम रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधुवर्गेण तया कल्पिता। श्रीमद् भागवत पुराणयमलं प्रेम पुमार्थो महान् श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभोर्मतैदं नायत्रयाग्रह परः। नवनीरदनिन्दित कान्तिधरं रसोसागर नागर भूपवरं शुभवङ्किमचारु शिखण्ड शिखिं भज कृष्णानिधिं व्रजराजसुतं भज कृष्णानिधिं व्रजराजसुतं। राधिका सरोदयिन्दु निन्दिमुखमण्डली वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्म वृषभानु नन्दिनी वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्म वृषभानु नन्दिनी अजानुलंबितो भुजौ कनकायवधातो संकीर्तनै पितरवो कमलायताक्षो विश्वम्भरो द्विजवरो युगधर्मपालो वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरो करुणायवतारो यस्या प्रसादात् भगवत प्रसादो यस्य अप्रसादात् न गति कुतोपि ध्यायान्स्तुवां यस्य स्त्री संध्यां वंदे गुरु श्री चरणारविंदम. Hare Krishna. Welcome to New Seva Kunj. Shri Kishore Kishori Nitai Gaur Sundar Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Devi ki jai. So today we will be serving Grantraj Srimad Bhagwatam, Canto number 10, chapter 47, verse 15, in chronological order. So, this is today's verse. Divi bhuvi cha rasayam kastriyastadurapaha kapata ruchirahasa bruhu vijrambhasya yah syuha charana raja upaste yasya bhutirvayam ka अपि च कृपाण पक्षे हि उत्तमः श्लोक शब्दः. So we can repeat this verse line by line. Divi bhuvi cha rasayam. Divi bhuvi cha rasayam kaha. स्त्रियस्तद्दुरापाः कपटरुचिरहासभ्रू विजृम्भस्य या स्युः चरणरज उपस्ते यस्य भूतिर्वयं का अपि च कृपण पक्षे हि उत्तम श्लोक शब्दाः. So somebody would like to try. Vivi bhuvi cha rasaya ka स्त्रियस्तद्दुरापाः कपटरुचिरहासभ्रूः विजृम्भस्य याः सूयः चरणारज उपास्ते यस्य भूतिर्वयं का अपि च कृपण पक्षे हि उत्तम श्लोक शब्दः. Ladies, Matajis? Okay. So, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. Please repeat word by word translation. Divi, in the heavenly region. Bhuvi, on the earth. Cha, and Rasayam, in the subterranean sphere. Kaha, what? Striyaha, women. Tat, by him. Durapaha, unobtainable, kapata, deceptive, ruchira, charming, hasa, which smiles, brew, of whose eyebrows, vijrimbhasya, the arching, yaha, who, syuhu, become, charana, of the feet, rajaha, the dust, upaste, worships, yasya, whose, bhutihi, the goddess of fortune, wife of Lord Narayan, vayam, we, ka, who, apicha, nevertheless, krupana pakshe, for those who are wretched, he, indeed, uttamaha shloka, the Supreme Lord, who is glorified by the most sublime prayers. Shabdaha, the name. Translation. In heaven, on earth, or in the subterranean sphere, what women are unavailable to him? He simply arches his eyebrows and smiles with deceptive charm, and they all become his. The Supreme Goddess herself worships the dust of his feet. So what is our position in comparison? But at least those who are wretched can chant his name, Uttama Shloka. So, the purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states that Radharani's speech expressing all the feelings of a disappointed lover indicates an intensity of love for Sri Krishna surpassing even the goddess of fortune. While all the gopis are perfectly compatible with Sri Krishna in terms of their beauty, temperament, and so on, Srimati Radharani is especially so. In her forlorn state, Radharani indicates to Krishna, you are called Uttam Shloka because you are merciful to the wretched and fallen, but if you would be merciful to me, then you would actually deserve this exalted name. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur further points out that in this verse, Srimati Radharani expresses her spite born of pride, accuses Krishna of being a cheater, and finds fault with his behavior. Thus, this verse contains speech known as Ujalpa, as described in the following verse of Srila Rupa Goswami's Ujjwal Nilamani, verse number 14, text 188. Hareha kuhaka takhyanam garva garbetaye ashraya sasu yaschat akshepa dhirair ujalpa iryate. The declaration of the Lord, Hari's duplicitous nature, is in a mood of spite, born of pride, together with jealousy, spoken insults directed against him, has been termed Ujalpa by the wise. Grantraj Srimad Bhagwatam ki Jai. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manoyabhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Hare Krishna. My obeisances unto all the assembled Vaishnavas. Hundreds and thousands of obeisances is to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and our Gaudiya Acharyas in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This glorious Srimad Bhagwatam, who is none other than Sri Krishna and his associates transformed out of pure mercy, may this Srimad Bhagwatam be our beacon and light for guiding us into the purest region of bhakti, so that we may seek this benediction to attain the essence of pure bhakti. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagwatam ki jai. So this is a very exalted subject matter, actually speaking. It is the chapter known as Brahmar Geet in Srimad Bhagwatam from the 10th canto. The 10th canto is considered the lotus face of Sri Krishna. And all the other 9 cantos are the different transcendental parts of Sri Krishna. But the lotus face is the most enchanting to all. And especially when we are in this line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are worshippers of or servants of Kishore Kishori. Kishore means the eternally 15-year and 9-month-old Krishna. And Kishori is eternally about 15 years old. And they are the source of everything, meaning Kishore Krishna in Golok Vrindavan, he is the one who expands himself simultaneously on his left as his Haladini Shakti Shri Radha, and on his right as his Sandhini Shakti Shri Baldev, and he himself is the Samvit Shakti. So from him everything emanates. The Vedanta Sutra says, the very first 2 words of the Vedanta Sutra are Janmadi Yasya. And these 2 words are exactly same in the very first verse of Srimad Bhagwatam. Janam Adi Yasya. Actually 3 words. Janam Adi Yasya. Janam means the creation. And what does creation mean? Creation means the entire spiritual worlds and the material worlds. Everything that we experience, whether on the material platform or the spiritual platform, the 16-year-old, the approximate 16-year-old Sri Krishna is the source of everything, including his incarnations and including all moods and rasas or mellows. And the highest mellow is described here in this Srimad Bhagwatam, especially in these chapters where the interaction between Krishna and the gopis happens in the Madhurya Rasa. There are 5 relationships that one can establish with the Supreme Lord. Most of us, in other faiths who are theists or those who are believers in God, they consider God as great, whether it is different faiths, Christianity, Judaism, or Islam, etc. Many faiths and many devotees of different faiths, they consider him as the supreme power, the bread giver. They pray to him. And even within Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism, I hate to use the word Hinduism, there's no such word in the Vedic scriptures, but it has become a common term. Most of the people who are devotees, they are worshipping either the Supreme Lord or the demigods for some material benefit in return. And even if they are worshipping the Supreme Lord or his incarnations, they are worshipping them in the mood of awe and reverence, just like other faiths. So His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada said so beautifully that we should not fear God. Most of us from our childhood, we have been taught, fear God. We should fear God. But Prabhupada says, love God. So loving God, and one can establish this only when there is a relationship. There's love when there is a relationship established. So there is the neutral relationship known as the Shantaras. The next relationship we can say is the Dasyaras, or the relationship of the master and the servant that one can establish between the Lord and oneself. The third one is the Sakyaras, or the relationship of friendship, of fraternity, where one can even become a friend of the Lord. Yes, that is what Purna Purushottam Sri Krishna is. He can fulfill everybody's desires. One can even become a parent of the Lord, and which is known as the Vatsalya Rasa. So, Srila Prabhupada said that, we have a lot of details about the Supreme Lord. Everybody calls him God, but we call him Krishna, the all-attractive, which is the most befitting name. Krish means attractive, and Na means all. So one who attracts all, because he's got all these beautiful, unlimited qualities of beauty, fame, power, strength, renunciation, knowledge. So in this world, we find in our practical experience, if somebody is extremely beautiful or handsome, it attracts persons. It attracts people. When we are, let's say, in a mall or on the street, and we find that there is an actor or an actress just passing by, it will stop traffic. Everybody's they get attracted. They storm them and say, please give me an autograph. They get attracted. Somebody who's very knowledgeable, they may not be very beautiful, like, personal Nobel laureates. As an example, Albert Einstein. He was not by any standards anywhere handsome or anything, but he was still, people were attracted to personalities like Albert Einstein. So people who have got strength, big wrestlers and those who are excellent athletes, people get attracted to them. People get attracted to renunciates, very saintly persons. Sometimes when a saintly person is speaking, the entire temple or the auditorium is full. Sometimes it spills over into the lobby and other areas of the building. Why is that? Because the saintly personality has something very unique, is the renunciation factor. Hopefully, I'm talking about the true saints that they possess, so that attracts people. So like these, strength, beauty, fame, etc., all these qualities, if somebody has it all to an unlimited extent, then how attractive that person must be. So according to the Vedic proper nomenclature, that personality is called Krishna, the all-attractive. None of these persons in this world, or even in the heavenly planets, they possess. Somebody may have beauty, but they may not have the strength. Somebody may have the strength, but they may not have the intelligence. Somebody may have a couple qualities that may attract people, but they may not have the renunciation. But somebody, when they have all these six, Shada Aishwarya Purna Iti Bhagwan. Bhag means opulence, and one means possessor of. One who's got knowledge in Sanskrit is known as Gyanwan. One who's got wealth, he is known as Dhanwan. So similarly, one who has got Bhaga, means all these six opulences, is known as Bhagavan also. But the most appropriate name is Krishna. And even there are many, many names of Sri Krishna. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Ananta Rupam. There's many, many forms of Sri Krishna. And the names Sanatana Goswami describes in the Dig Darshani that there are two basically classifications of the names of the Supreme Lord. One is known as the Gauniya Nam and one is known as the Pramukha Nam. Gauniya Nam means, O Lord, O Bhagwan, O Almighty. So those are known as Gauniya Nam. And Pramukha Nam means Kishore, Raman, Radha Gopinath, Madan Mohan, Yashoda Nandan, and Nanda Nandan. So where Krishna's associates, his most intimate associates, and their pastimes are connected in that name. And Krishna loves those names. The moment we say Yashoda Nandan, his eyes widen at that devotee and he smiles. Oh, you know my mother's name. The moment we say the name Gopinath, he says, wow, this devotee knows that I am the Lord and Master of the Gopis in Vrindavan. And the gopis, they always love me so much. So like this, and of course, our Varsik Acharyas have given another meaning of Gopinath. Gopis are the Nath, meaning all the gopis are the masters because they make Krishna dance as they please, because they are in control. Most of us who are in a mood of opulence, we consider the Supreme Lord's incarnation as Bhakta Vatsal. Vatsa means like a calf or a child. And Krishna or the Supreme Lord or any of his incarnations, he is like a father and he takes care of our needs. But there is another terminology which is of a higher nature, especially those devotees who are in Vrindavan or Vraj, they are known as Bhakta Vashya. The word Vashya means control. So they are able to control Sri Krishna. Bhakta Vashya. Vash means to control. So, in this particular chapter, in Brahmar Geet, when Uddhav, he was one of Krishna's very intimate friends. And when Krishna left Vrindavan at a very young age of about 12, 13 years, he never came back. He went to Mathura, and from Mathura, due to the annexation, about 18 times Jarasandha, the father-in-law of Kamsa, he tried to annex Mathura, and they were defeated, the entire army, by Krishna and Balram. But due to the love for the Mathuravasis, Krishna said that they are always in fear. Any moment Jarasandha will come back and attack again. So then he asked one of his most exalted architects, Vishwakarma, to build a city in the water and in the midst of the ocean, and that was known as Dwarka. So then, at some point when that city was beautifully built, Krishna transported all his associates, the Mathuravasis, into the city in the ocean, and that was known as Dwarka. So he then resided in Dwarka, and he married 16,108 queens of Dwarka, Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jamvati, etc. Those were some of the principal queens of Dwarka out of the 16,108. And Uddhav, his friend, used to reside there also and visit him. And Uddhav was a very exalted scholar, the foremost disciple of Brihaspati. Brihaspati is the guru of all the demigods. And he is very learned, Brahman. And he was a very foremost disciple. He was well versed with all the Vedas and all the principles, all the Vedic philosophies, etc. So, Krishna actually, our Rasik Acharyas, they mention that he sent him to Vrindavan from Dwarka. And there's an external reason and an internal reason to do that. The external reason is that he wanted to kind of, give solace to the gopis because they were in separation. That is known as Vipralamba Bhav. What is Vipralamba Bhav is one of the unique features, service or love in separation of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are many bona fide Vaishnava Sampradayas, but what makes us very unique in the line of Mahaprabhu is that there is service in separation, intense love in separation. We will find that if we go to Vrindavan and many other places, we find other Sampradayas, Vaishnava Sampradayas, those who are believers of Krishna, those who have firm faith in Krishna. And some of them are also very exalted, but their service and their forte is service in union of Radha Krishna, in conjugal love. Even in the Madhuri Rasa, I was mentioning the 5 different mellows, the neutrality, where one is like a yogi, and one simply gets that perfection by closing their eyes and meditation, and they can actually see one of the sub-incarnations of Krishna, known as Paramatma, the super soul, in their hearts, and they can see the super soul everywhere, the presence. Therefore, the word Vishnu, which is very commonly used, it means all-pervading. If we translate that from Sanskrit to English, So Krishna is present everywhere in his feature of Paramatma. He's even present in every atom. Andan anavayatracham paramayut antam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. He's present in every atom as well. If you have looked at the cover of the Upanishad, we find that the four-armed Krishna is standing. And if we see the structure, those who are scientifically inclined, the atom has a structure where there is a nucleus, proton, and electrons. And around the nucleus, we find that electrons and protons are at a very high speed. You know, the revolutions happen extremely very high, RPM. And it goes into probably millions of RPM, revolutions per minute. And the nucleus, within the nucleus is Paramatma. And just like the nucleus of our body is the heart, and Paramatma is also present in our hearts, in everybody's hearts, whether it is an ant or to the most exalted demigod, Lord Brahma. So Krishna is present everywhere. And that is one of the reasons, on a side note, when we see that when the so-called demoniac personalities, when they make these nuclear weapons, and when they try to break that bond between the nucleus, protons, and electrons, artificially imposing, at that time Paramatma leaves in a very, very angry mood. And that is why a lot of energy is generated, destructive energy. So that's when we artificially impose so-called these nuclear scientists, etc. When they use this atomic energy, nuclear bombs, that is when they break the chain of the proper system that Krishna has naturally set up. So Krishna is naturally not very happy with that. And then that's the reason one small atom, when you break its structure, it creates a huge amount of energy that is destructive in nature. And we've seen many, many examples that when there was nuclear arsenals used, how much of the destruction is caused. Anyways, so Shantras, Dasyaras, servitorship, Vatsalyaras, where Krishna can be our child. Then there is also the highest specialty known as the Madhurya Rasa. In Madhurya Rasa, it is the conjugal love, just like a husband and wife or a lover and a beloved. And that encompasses the other three. In the Madhurya Rasa, we find that the other three rasas predominantly are present, meaning the Vatsalya Rasa, the Sakhya Rasa, and the Dasya Rasa. Just like a wife or a husband, they can be your best friend. Is it true or not? They can be your best servant. They serve each other, right? And they even sometimes, they act in a parental way. If you are very sick or something and weak, the wife will come with a spoon of medicine or with some nice khichdi and yogurt and feed you spoon by spoon. And, even put you to sleep, put some compressions, etc., just like a parent would. So the Madhurya Rasa encompasses all this. Now, within the Madhurya Rasa, there is a specialty in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as I was mentioning, is that of not only service or love in union, like the other Vaishnava Sampradayas, but also a special, very, very special component is service and separation. In Vipralamba Bhav, Viyog. And that is an amazing component in this loving relationship of the mellow of Madhurya Rasa in Vrindavan, expressed by the gopis, and especially the topmost gopi Sri Radharani and her intimate associates known as the Swapaksha gopis, our own. Even in Vrindavan, there are different camps of gopis. There is Swapaksha gopis, there is Vipaksha gopis, there is Tathastha gopis, there is Surud gopis. So Swapaksha gopis means those gopis who are in the camp of Sri Radha. And they understand Radharani fully. They understand her emotions, her every need to the highest extent. They understand that completely. Then the Vipaksha gopis are those who take Krishna away from Radharani. Like Radharani's own cousin, Chandravali, and Shaibya, another gopi. They keep Krishna, and they invite him to their home or their nikunja or their forest bower, and they have their amorous pastimes with them. So they are vipaksha. They are taking, and for vipaksha, for the devotees in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we do not even want to hear about those devotees or those gopis who are in the vipaksha camp. One time, Raghunath Das Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis who actually resided in Radhakund, and he used to chant the holy names 18 to 19 hours a day. And he was so austere, he was known for his austerity. And his austerity was such that he only used to probably take a couple cups of buttermilk a day. That was his only diet. And the Harinam, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, he chanted continuously. So one time, one Vrajvasi came and, brought one nice big leaf. In those days, even now if you go to Vrindavan, there are leaf cups that are made out of, they are known as donas, And one Vrajvasi came to Raghunath Das Goswami and said, Baba, I've got you some buttermilk, please accept it. And Raghunath Das Goswami was about to accept it. And when he saw the buttermilk cup, which was made out of a leaf, twirled like a cone, he immediately got very upset. And he threw that cup away. He says, get out of here. I don't even want to see this. So the devotee was wondering, I just brought this out of love for Baba, and he wants to reject this. That's the only meal he has. And Raghunath Das, it is explained that those leaves that cup was made of was from Chandravali's Kunja, from the opposite camp. And for him, anything to do with that was abominable. He didn't want to even see it or hear it. So therefore he rejected it. That is the intensity of the prema for Sri Radha. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he mentions in one of his bhajans, he's none other than, our acharyas are actually assistants, very young gopis who assist the elderly gopis like Lalita, Vishakha, the Asta Sakhis. They're known as the Manjaris. So Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari. Sanatan Goswami is Labhanga Manjari. Jiva Goswami is Vilas Manjari. Like that, in this line we find Bhakti Vinod Thakur is Kamla Manjari. Srila Gaur Krishna Babaji Maharaj is Guna Manjari. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is Naina Manjari. And Srila Prabhupada, somebody asked him, Prabhupada, what is your identity in the spiritual world? And Prabhupada said, if I tell you, you will faint. And Srila Prabhupada just put it off. He simply laughed. But we know for sure that he is one of the most intimate associates of Radharani, because in the Pranam Mantra of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it is mentioned, Shri Varsha Bhanvi Daitaya Kripa Dhaye. So Varsha Bhanvi Daitaya Das, that was the initiated name before he took sannyas of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So that was his very long name. Varsha Bhanvi Devi means Srimati Radharani. Daitaya means very dear. Das, a servant. Now, we find in Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra, Namam Vishnupada Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Namaste Saraswate Devi. Most of us, we make this mistake. Sometimes we say Saraswati Devi. It is not Saraswati. Saraswati is the goddess of learning. Here it is Saraswati. This is Sanskrit grammar. Just like the son of Vasudeva is Vasudev. That A comes in. So similarly, the transcendental son of Saraswati Thakur is Saraswati. So Saraswati means he is very dear to Saraswati Thakur. So if Saraswati Thakur is a very dear servant of Srimati Radharani, so indeed Srila Prabhupada is also in that line of seva. Definitely. Plus he may be present in more than one rasa. Of course, that's a subject matter for another day. But my point is that these manjaris, they serve very diligently. Nikunja yuno ratikeli siddhya yaya alivir yukti rapekshaniya tatra ati dakshat ativallabhasya vande guru shri charnarvindam. The 6th verse of the Mangalarti that we sing every day, that in the bowers of Vrindavan, they are so experts in serving Radha and Krishna that they are very dear to Radha and Krishna, and they're always desirous of constant service from the gopis like Lalita and Vishakha. What can I do next? So these manjaris are also known as kimkaris. In Sanskrit, the word kim means what, and kari means to do. What can I do? Moment one seva is not even finished, immediately they come up and say, what else can I do? Oh Lalite, oh Vishakhe, what else can I do? What else can I serve? So, this service, especially in the line of Mahaprabhu, is service in separation. The Vipralamba Bhav is besides the union. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as Kamla Manjari, he is meditating in the Bhajan Lalsa. He has got written many books in the form of bhajans. So he says, Dekhite, dekhite, bhulibo vakave, nijasthula sharira, nayane heribo, vrajapura shobha, nitya chidananda moya. Vrishabhanupure, Vrishabhanupure, Janama hoilo, Yavate viva hoibe. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is desirous. Lalsa means the deep desire. He's saying that I have this desire that when will I forget my bodily concept? And when I get my spiritual form, when I get that, I desire that I get, of course, he's meditating on his young gopi form or the manjari form. He's saying that, that Vrishabhanupure janama hoilo. I desire to be born in Barsana. Because that is the place where Radharani in her childhood, she grew up there. Vrishabhanupure janama hoilo yavate viva hoye. And I would like to get married when the time comes to get married in Yavat. Yavat is a small village not too far from Barsana. Why is that? Because Radharani gets married in Yavat. So she also desires, Kamla Manjari, that I also, as a gopi, I also desire to get married in Yavat so I can follow my prana sakhi, so I can follow my dear Radharani and constantly behold her and serve her. So right from the childhood, while growing up in Barsana, even after getting married, I would also like to get married in the same village so I can serve Sri Radha. So this is the bhav, very, very exalted bhav. You know, it's impossible for me to convey, this is such an exalted chapter that neither am I qualified to speak on it. And most of us, but we can try to get the essence because it is very important to understand who we stand for. Going back to Godhead, is okay. But where in Godhead? Srila Prabhupada mentioned that if you chant minimum 16? No, 16 good rounds. The word good, Prabhupada has stressed that. 16 good rounds. And you follow the 4 regulative principles, and you follow the program, you will go back to Godhead. But most of us, if we are simply going to be more or less involved in Aishwarya Bhav, opulence, where we are most of us, we read the Bhagavad Gita, and most of our lives, we don't really sometimes graduate beyond that. There is Srimad Bhagwatam, there is Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is the books of the Goswamis, etc. So that is the Gaudiya Rasa. Of course, the fundamentals are very important, which Bhagavad Gita gives us. Bhagavad Gita is the fundamental. But if we look at, since I'm talking about a very exalted subject matter, I want to share something, a conversation very, very in a nutshell between Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela chapter 8, between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rai Ramanand. Rai Ramanand is none other than Vishakha Sakhi. Out of the 8 principal Sakhis, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually chose to, in the last 12 years before he disappeared, he chose to spend time with Swarup Damodar, who is Lalita Sakhi, and Rai Ramanand, who is Vishakha Sakhi in Jagannath Puri. He locked himself practically in a very small room known as the Gambhira. And in that, both of these great exalted personalities, they fanned Mahaprabhu's mood of the Madhurya Rasa, especially service and separation. That is why, according to our Rasik Acharyas, this Jagannath Puri Dham, because of Mahaprabhu's presence, is known as Vyogini Radha Kshetra. Because at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu feels the separation of Krishna at its highest intense moments in the last 12 years. That's when he does his internal bhajan. He completely absorbs himself into internal bhajan, trying to get the mood of Sri Radha. And once you get the mood of Srimati Radharani, what happens? There is separation.